Hello, my name is John Griffiths and I want to talk to you today about a topic which concerns most planners these days, and that is that of big data. And I want to relate it to a book that we are crowdfunding at the moment called 98% Pure Potato, which is about the origins of account planning. Now, you may think, what on earth has what planners did 50 years ago before the internet was even thought of, what has that got to do with the work I have to do today, and in particular big data? Well, let me explain the connection, because when we interviewed the first planners that we could find for the two agencies from which it came, Boaz Massimi Pollitt and J. Walter Thompson, we discovered that the thing that they were fighting back against was what was called scientific advertising. And scientific advertising is the justification of decisions about what is good and bad advertising purely using numbers. I'll give you two examples. One would be the use of cinema tests for pre-testing. A group of people, whether or not they were customers of a particular brand, would be put into a cinema, shown a string of commercials, and then asked questions about it in a survey. And depending on what the percentages were, those ads would live or die. Day after recall was another one, that people would be surveyed the day after an advertising had been exposed, and if the ad was remembered, it lived. If not enough people remembered it, it died. And the agencies were very dissatisfied that these measures paid no attention to how advertising worked or what people actually felt about the advertising. And so they responded with account planning departments. Now, you might think, therefore, that account planners were simply people who went off and did focus groups and whatever else. Nothing like it. First of all, the recruitment policy was to hire people with extremely high numerical skills. Many of those who were hired came from Oxford or Cambridge, and many were even postgrads in mathematics and in physics. So the highest numeric skills were required before you could even get a job as an account planner. The second thing was that they were expected to do due diligence on the numbers. In other words, they worked with numbers all the time. The challenge, of course, is that they didn't have computers, they didn't have calculators, and so what they had to do was to sit down with pen and paper and to use their numeric skills to make sense of it, and then using to write what they had out longhand, and somebody else would type it up to be presented. Now, what implications can we get from this that we could use today? Firstly, think about what the numbers mean. What that means is, go away from your computer, sit down at a table and get out a paper and pad and just do the work with your head rather than being blinded by the numbers. Secondly, numbers are approximations. Don't forget that numbers are simply generalizations which we use to make sense of the world. Don't take them as facts or as gospel. So from that point of view, you will need to use numbers qualitatively. And you may never have thought of that before. But the truth is that even if our culture reverences numbers in that kind of a way, that's not how they actually work. And you do a disservice by treating numbers with too much respect. Thirdly, look for data that tells you why. And you don't get more meaning by simply increasing the size of the data set. You get a sort of increased precision, but it doesn't tell you why. And it was because they couldn't get that answer from the numbers they had that the earliest planners used qualitative research. Now, qualitative research is not the only way of answering the question why, but it's a very good way. And the argument I would make is that simply burrowing deeper and deeper into the numbers is not helping us to answer the question why. And of course, the final thing I'm going to suggest you do is to go to unbound.co.uk, look for 98% Pure Potato and pledge to make sure that this book is published. I can promise that your name will appear in the back of the book as a supporter of the project, but I hope that, and there are also some other goodies, including interviews with these planners that have been made available as podcasts there. But I hope that you will also get the word out to people that this is a really useful thing to do, not only to look at what you're doing now, but to compare notes with the way it was first done, because we have an awful lot to learn from them. Thanks for listening.